Hello! Welcome to talking about Delirium, the book that's been out for 50 million years. This was a reread for me, but it was like reading it for the first time because apparently I forgot everything that happened. This is the first in the Delirium trilogy by Lauren Oliver. It is a world in which love is considered a disease, which is a really weird way to think about it. They've developed a society where people get a cure when they're 18 so that they don't fall in love. They get paired, they live these very kind of cookie cutter lives, and they're telling people that they've eliminated suffering. In actuality, they've eliminated the pain that can come with emotion and things like that. I feel like everyone in the universe has read this book, but if you haven't, you should go read it and then come back and discuss. It's really interesting. It's a really quick read. I recommend it. Like, it's one of those staples of young adult literature that like a lot of things get compared to. They almost made a TV show about it. I do remember watching the pilot and like actually really enjoying the pilot and wanting to see this continue, but they didn't. So goodbye. Do not get spoiled. So our main character is Lena. She has kind of a tainted past in her society. Her mother was unable to be cured and killed herself to escape a world in which scientists were trying to take the love for her late husband away from her. Lena is living with her aunt and cousins now, and she is excited to be cured. She doesn't want to be like her mom in that way. She's in line to go into this evaluation, and pretty much things you say, they rank you on like how you look, how you act, what your potential is in your job and future. And her best friend Hannah has this kind of like outburst before she goes in. She like runs up to Lena and is like, you know, you can't be happy unless you're unhappy sometimes, right? That just like kind of gets Lena to start thinking and is a little worried. She's like, what the heck did Hannah just say? Like, I'm confused. And it's kind of like this overall foreshadowing of like the cure takes away people's emotions. So yeah, they may not be unhappy, like it may cure them of emotional pain, but like, is that really a good thing? Because it also like clouds over any amount of happiness they'd be able to feel. She's in her evaluation and they ask her what her favorite color is. She says gray. She should have said blue. Like, she's supposed to pick these very generic answers. She knows what she's supposed to say. They ask her about Romeo and Juliet, which is a cautionary tale in her land, and she says that she thinks it's kind of beautiful. And I'm like, Lena, like, this girl, I thought you were supposed to be smart. You keep getting distracted and then accidentally spitting out these awful answers that you know. Like, people know your past. Like, she's trying to hide it, but people know what runs in her blood, the delirium, the disease, and I'm like, you couldn't control yourself for 5 minutes to say the word blue instead of gray? There were so many times that Lena actually like really infuriated me this whole book. But then, while she's in her evaluation, there's this cow stampede, and all these cows come in, and on their sides is written, not cure, death. She's like, oh my gosh, that's the invalids. The invalids live in the wilds, where they've escaped civilization because they didn't want to get the cure. And while all these cows are surrounding her, like, it's just such a weird mental scene. These cows are all around her. She hears this laughing. She looks up, sees this very handsome boy. Obviously, like, this book is about love being forbidden. So, like, enter our love interest. And he looks down and he winks at her. And then, like, a couple days later, Hannah and Lena run into this guard. His name is Alex. And he kind of says this secret message about meeting him to watch the sunset, and Lena goes and she has just missed him, and she's like, maybe I was crazy, like maybe the way he was emphasizing his words was just weird. She thinks she misunderstood. She's living a normal life. Like, people before they're 18, like, they have all their regular emotions, and she is graduating. It's her last year of high school, and she has this sad understanding, like, her life is not going to be like this for very long. Like, her and her other friends, they're like jumping and shouting, they're so happy about their accomplishments, and then we look and see how their family and like the girls in their high school who have already been cured are acting, and they're very calm, they don't really show much emotion, they're there because they're supposed to be, not really because they want to. They just have no joy, and it's really upsetting to see, especially when Lena is talking to her sister, and her sister was like, well, yes, I came because I care about you, I'm supposed to be here. And I'm like, why aren't you like congratulating her and being like super excited for her? And it was just really, really frustrating. It's into the summer and we reach the 4th of July, and the 4th of July has an interesting like new meaning for them. The day of our independence, the day we commemorate the closing of our nation's border forever. The fact that that is like their meaning of 4th of July, I'm like, that's not good. Like, why are you celebrating the fact that you've cut yourself off from the world and love? But I guess they've just been brainwashed. She goes over to Hannah's house and kind of accidentally finds Hannah listening to unauthorized illegal music. Hannah talks to her about like these illegal websites that she's managed to find, and it freaks Lena out. We get like these glimpses of Lena's old life with her mom, who was incapable of being cured. How they had their little sock jams and would dance around the house in their socks, but their mom would have to stuff towels and pillows under the doors so regulators wouldn't hear the music, wouldn't hear them laughing. And I realized Lena might be one of the only people in this whole society who had a happy childhood. So that's probably why the disease runs in families, because their kids would have experienced love. They would have wanted to like continue that, like show love to other people. Like it doesn't run in families, it's them understanding how they're supposed to care for other people. Hannah gets kind of annoyed with Lena, and Lena back at her because Hannah wants to go to this illegal party instead of spending the 4th of July together. But then Lena decides to go to this illegal party, try to like repair things with Hannah, and she sees Hannah and things are just weird between them, and she decides to leave, but she runs into Alex, who says he did go to the beach to meet up with her. Alex also admits he left a note for her in the hand of the governor, which is what Hannah and Lena call this statue on one of their runs, and he was apparently like holding something at one point, but now it's a perfect place to leave little notes. She didn't find it, and he was like, well, it just said like, hi, I just like noticed you running by all the time in the coffee shop at the university. Lena starts to freeze up a little bit, and he says like, don't worry, I'm not flirting with you, I can't hurt you, I'm cured. And he shows her like those 3 dot markings that mean someone's been cured. But they do dance to this illegal music, and they decide that they're gonna meet up later. Lena's starting to run through the phases of the disease in her head, and it's like, I think I'm starting to feel one of those symptoms. Lena and Alex meet at the beach, and they race into the water, and they have like a little splash fight. But when she's running into the water, she almost face plants. You're a runner. I was just like, Lena, pull it together. He then confides that he's from the wilds. He has not been cured. They're fake scars, and says that he likes her. So Lena runs away. Fantastic. Lena gets a redo at her evaluation because of the stampede. Thank goodness. She does it right this time. She says blue and gets her approved matches. We get a lot of like information in the little snippets. At the beginning of each chapter, it'll say like it's from the book of Shh, or it's from like these old lullabies or something that have been recreated for this new loveless world. And they've kind of skewed history, and they've made this new religion of the Holy Trinity of God, science, and order. What? Raid night was so worrying. So at first, these giant sirens go off so that the whole town knows like, hey, these evil, violent regulators are going to come into your house and they can do anything they want, especially if they think you're a sympathizer. And like we hear like how cruel they are, because Lena can hear outside that they've killed their next door neighbor's dog. One of them is like, why'd you kill the dog? And the other one's like, why not? Probably has fleas anyway. And I was like, how heartless do you have to be? And we realize like the regulators take like pleasure in these raids. Like they enjoy doing this. And if you weren't ticked off before that these new people in charge are awful, like that's how you know. Lena sneaks out during the raid to find Hannah because she knows Hannah's at this party, and she's in the house when the raid shows up to the party. Everyone is pretty much starts screaming, running. Lena gets bit in the leg by a dog, one of like the regulators' police dogs, and Alex finds her, like kind of pulls her into this shed where they can hide. It seems so unlikely that he would find her. Like I know that he knows the house and stuff, but like that was just pure luck. Alex and Lena kiss, and she realizes this is all she's ever wanted. Like all she ever wanted in her life was love. And I do like the line where Alex is like, I really like you, Lena. Do you believe me now? And thus, she is infected. Hannah shows up to Lena's job, and they've had like a weird, shaky friendship with all this illegal activity. But Hannah shows up, and she kind of needs her best friend's support. She's really shaken from the raid. And then Lena tells Hannah, like, I came to look for you. Like, I have this giant dog bite on my leg. I was there. But then, like a few minutes before, Alex had been in the store. He'd been walking around. They touch hands while they exchange money and stuff. And it's like being all sneaky. And Lena had told him to come around to the back storeroom, but that's where Hannah is. And so he's knocking on the the door, and Lena has to open the door, and they have to try to like act all casual, but then Alex is like, Lena, tell her. Hannah is shocked. She's like, Lena, Ella, Holloway, Tittle. You have some explaining to do. It's just like a cute scene. Like, Hannah's not gonna say anything, and now the three of them are like little best friends. Lena learns more about how Alex is managing to live in this world, even though he's from the wilds. Like, he has fake ID numbers and things like that, and he lives with his aunt and uncle, who are sympathizers, but they're cured, which is like kind of an interesting dynamic to how this revolution sympathizers works. He was talking about his aunt and uncle, and he said they miss the pain too. He's explaining like that's when you really lose people, when the pain passes, is like how he describes how having the cure like makes you lose everyone essentially. Like, you're with people, but you're not really like in a real relationship with them. Alex and Lena sneak out into the wilds, and he reads poetry to her. She doesn't even know what poetry is. Like, she literally says, what is poetry? I'm like, how did you not learn? Like, how did none of it get taken into this new world? I'm assuming they at one point burned everything, and like these books and stuff are contraband, like they shouldn't have them. They somehow escaped. We meet her match, Brian Sharp. Ew! He's allergic to everything, and he like says she was prettier in the picture than she was in real life. And I'm like, you're one to talk. Like, she tries to be nice, but she like, this boy does not compare to Alex. And she hears him say like she's not that pretty. And I'm like, this is awful. They go out and talk on the porch, and Alex sees them. So first of all, I'm like, ugh. She was supposed to go meet him, but now she's stuck with Brian Sharp. Brian had told her like, I didn't mean it like that. Like, you just look prettier in the picture because you looked happy. And I was like, whatever. But she goes to the abandoned house and she breaks down. Like, that's where she and Alex hang out, and it appears that he's left. But then Alex shows up and like comforts her. Lena's like having this realization that she has this like kind of double feeling where she doesn't want to be like her mom. Like, her mom is obviously like infamous in their town, but also like she kind of wants to be like her mom. Like, they had a really good relationship before her mom apparently had died. But then Lena is describing her mom to Alex and says like she had this like little like dagger pendant that was her father's. And then Alex starts acting really weird and then says, I think your mother is alive. So they go to the crypts, and I'm like, are we sure we want her to be alive? Like, this is the worst place in the world to be. And Alex kind of sneaks in. He has like friends on the inside. He's really good at schmoozing people, like getting what he wants. And like they go to the 6th ward, which they're not supposed to be in. And he opens the door, and he was expecting a different guard, and it's this other dude, and he has to talk his way into the ward because the guy wasn't gonna let him in. But they get in there, and they actually see the guard, Thomas, that Alex thought was going to be in there, and things are not going so well for Thomas in the crypts. Alex gets to Lena's mother's cell and then like acts shocked, and he's like really worried about Lena, and she goes in to this cell in the crypts, and love has been carved out on all the walls like over and over and over again. But then there's like in one side, the O is really big, and it is actually a tunnel. Like, her mother's escaped, and then on the floor we see like the dagger pendant worn down to like a little nub because she's been like scrabbling away at the walls. This kind of shocks her out of thinking she's gonna be staying in Portland, and she tells Alex she wants to go to the wilds. They say like they love each other, but Alex is trying to make her understand like what this decision means. Like, Lena gets kind of upset because she's like, what, are you like trying to take back the whole thing about like I could go to the wilds now? And he's trying to explain to her like, if you leave, like we can never come back here, and like you have to understand what that means. But Lena decides like that's what she wants. She needs to leave. Lena tells Hannah her plan, and is like, Hannah, like you should come with us. But Hannah's gonna be staying in Portland. Like, she does have more of a set up life than Lena does, and it's really upsetting because Hannah would probably thrive in the wilds, but like when it comes down to it, she can't get herself to leave. Lena like that night goes to meet Alex, like they're gonna prep for the next week and then escape. And the regulators show up, and Kesha, I thought it was a dream. Like, I thought we were in a nightmare, and she gets clubbed down and dragged home, and I'm still expecting it to be a nightmare, but it wasn't. Like, that actually happened. Rachel comes, and Lena thinks Rachel's a liar. She's like, everyone lied to me about our mother being dead. Apparently Rachel thought their mother was dead, and like thinks Lena just got hit on the head too hard. Like, her own sister won't believe. Her family ties her up so that she can't escape, and like her little cousin Jenny, the one I don't really like as much, comes in and is like supposed to give her food, and she's like acting like she's scared of Lena. And Jenny says like, you know, I know you're not contagious, but then like she's still acting scared. Like, people are this afraid. Hannah visits, and they kind of speak in code, and she finds out like Alex got away, and Lena manages to make her understand while her family is listening outside that she needs to go leave a note for Alex in the hand of the governor. And Hannah gets all excited to do it, and Lena thinks like, I love you about Hannah. And like, that's something that's not quite as like pronounced, but it is like important to remember that with The Cure, like it's all relationships. It's not like falling in love with someone. It's also like the love you feel for family and friends that goes away. Like people keep telling her like, oh, like your friendship with Hannah will be different. Like you'll smile at each other when you pass on the streets, but you won't care for each other the way you do now. That is awful. Like The Cure not only takes away any like romantic relationships, it also takes away your best friend. Lena is tied up in her room and it doesn't seem like Alex is coming. She's decided to kill herself on the way to the labs. Like she's supposed to go get her cure done early and keeps thinking, I'd rather die my way than live yours. Alex does show up. Lena is he's down on a motorcycle outside her window and she manages to get out of her like ties around her wrists and she's about to escape. The whole family hears her and then they come in and Gracie, one of my favorite characters, Gracie yells, wait, and everyone stops. Gracie does not speak. The only person she's ever spoken to is Lena. So Lena is able to escape. She and Alex get on their motorcycle, they're dodging bullets, and they're getting to the fence. Alex realizes that the fence is electrified in the part that they're gonna be at, and they jump off their motorcycle. The motorcycle slams into the fence. I feel like I'm giving a sports play-by-play. But since the motorcycle was in the fence for like just a minute, all the electricity is messed up because of the motorcycle. So they run to the fence, and Alex is yelling for Lena to start climbing, like he's right behind her. And Lena gets over the fence. She looks back. Alex is still on the ground on the other side of the fence. He's bleeding because he's been shot. He's surrounded. He yells at her to run, and she does. And then the book ends. Excuse me? Like, I read this book before, and I don't remember that happening. But as we all know, characters are not dead unless you see them dead. And I'm sitting there tearing through the sneak peek of Pandemonium in the back of the book, trying to see if Alex is in it. And like, the only mention we get of Alex is that she just believes that he's still alive. He's in her mind. I'm like, this is not an answer. I give it like a 3.5 out of 5. I think it is one of those like classic young adult books that a lot of people got into. I wish I had been more into it when I was younger. I haven't read Pandemonium, so like the next book will be like a first read for me. But I still think the premise is just like super interesting. Alex had better be alive. If this turns into a love triangle situation, which seems highly likely since she's gonna be in the wilds with all these uncured people. Oh no. My name's Caitlin. Thanks for watching. Bye.